Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah, wow.
I'm always fucking stoked.
No. Well, no, because I wouldn't say I am either, so no.
No, I'm literally legit. I get up. I have my coffee and then I smoke a joint.
When I have joints, I did. Now I will.
Or, well, when I had bowls.
If you're ever in Fort William and you happen to come across a place called the Toke House, go inside and buy as much as you possibly can. There is a 30-gram limit. We learned that today. I didn't buy 30 grams, but we just learned that. So
that's the limit. That's the actual law.
Apparently Justin Trudeau also doesn't get his pot from the Ontario Cannabis store.
Well, why?
Yeah, so why would he?
Well, I mean,
he has the money to get it from God knows where.
He gets pot for free, man. He probably has a fucking grow house in his backyard.
Here's the thing. When I say he gets it, I mean, I think a transaction occurs, but does money really mean anything when you're that rich?
Yeah.
When it's just a...
there's a button on his desk. It's like Trump's button for fucking Big Macs.
I feel like
give me a Coke.
Money almost becomes stocks when you have that much.
Yeah.
You almost look at it as one big investment, and so anytime it goes down, you're like, no, it's gotta go up.
Well, at that point, when
so
you're
bad.
that rich, you've got a guy. It's
Yeah,
like the
that's
guy
true.
just
That's
handles
true.
it.
That's true.
No rich person knows what happens to their money. The guy handles it.
Just like no
accounting
one...
firms.
Sorry, you just made me think of something from what we're going to talk about today.
Yep, that's the biggest right there.
The line that Cube says near the end about how nobody understands what it's like.
Either they don't know, don't show, or don't care about what's going on in the hood.
And it's true. And that's why this continues to happen. It's a dehumanization. It's a total disconnect from the black community.
Yeah.
And then, through that dehumanization, the belief that you can use, manipulate, and abuse that community by placing gun stores and alcohol stores on every corner, like Furious says. And I just realized, Ricky! What fills that silence when Ricky's running is the fact that it's not really just those boys' fault or the boy with the shotgun's fault. It's the fault of the man who decided to put that gun store on that corner to instigate gang violence to make sure black people would kill each other off. That's fucked up. Sorry, I don't mean to get really heavy all of a sudden.
No,
but
that's the... You know what? And it has to get heavy. This has to be a podcast that needs to get heavy.
I'm worried I might cry too, so we'll see.
No,
we might get there.
cry.
We might get there. We might get
Tears
there.
are
But
good, because the thing about this movie is that it reveals so much truths about how that's how they're committing their genocide.
Yep.
And it's a legal genocide.
It's illegal. Exactly.
It's something we, after World War II, the UN went in and sanctioned. Legal genocide. Okay, this is what you can do. This is the limit of what you can do to people.
Yeah.
And everything else is still fine.
Exactly.
I mean,
you can bomb your citizens in Philadelphia. It's fine.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
They bombed. It was a few blocks of black projects. They were looking for members of. I don't know if it was the Black Panthers, but it was an organization like that they had deemed a terrorist threat. Yeah. And they killed a lot of innocent women and children. Let me just tell you that much. I don't think anything that bad had happened since the Tulsa massacre of like 1920 whatever. Fuck. Anyway, the point being, America has always been waging this war on its black and POC citizens for like forever, and the fact that we lost sight of it goes to show how deeply ingrained I guess it's been. Like, I thought university had really cracked open that nut for me, but this has really just
the thing about
cleaved me in half.
And the thing that pisses me off about the university is that it's still culturally biased.
It is. Just like Furious says in the movie.
Most of those tests are culturally biased to begin with. The only part that's universal is the math.
It's completely. And we have very progressive professors.
We do.
And
To their
professors that I definitely respect. But I mean, what are they allowed to teach and not allowed to teach? Like, why?
That's what I was questioning.
I was questioning is like, why isn't this movie
Part of any
curriculum
ever?
Yo, why the fuck y'all getting so damn religified lately?
Where do you see it? I don't know if it's... And however, what undermines my argument is that it might be on Criterion and it could be a choice.
Probably.
Could have been a choice for a creative project.
Maybe. Yeah,
So,
that's true.
There's two sides to those stories. However, why isn't this focused on?
Hey, there was a God. Why be letting motherfuckers get smoked every night? Babies and little kids, you tell me that.
The message that it has outweighs some things. Okay, there's really only one moment in particular that made me cringe, and it was just the line about how Catholic girls are supposed to be, you know. But it's totally in character for him to have that bias. It made sense, but it just made me cringe. I was like, oh man, come on, Trey, you're better than that.
Well, remember, it is the 90s,
Well,
early
it's the 90s, I know.
90s. It's products of the 80s, like the misogyny throughout this film was the thing is like I don't know how heavy I wanted to go onto the idea of like the misogyny. I mean, Regina King had some great lines, and I saw her and I was like, yes, Regina King, and I was like,
I personally felt like she, and I mean even in the documentary you sent me about the making of the movie. She talks about how she went in to the casting director, Jackie Brown, and, you know, at first she had her read a couple lines, and then Jackie would, like, breathed a sigh of relief, and Regina was like, what? And Jackie was like, oh, I just wanted to make sure you could be ghetto.
Yeah.
And, you know, for me, having seen Regina King in the new Watchmen series and in so many other things over the years, she's such a talented actress.
Oh shit, yes.
I just felt like she was playing kind of a caricature, and but I loved her line when she finally confronted Ice Cube about, or Doughboy, about
Doughboy
fucking calling women bitches all the time.
Well, you tell me this, nigga. How you know guys are he? He could be a she. You don't know that.
I don't know. It was just another sex object thing.
Yeah.
And, he was like, "Cause you is."
But that's the thing is, the one thing that we don't address in the university is that there's a certain kind of street vernacular, right? And yes, it is an oppressive street vernacular.
Oh, and especially
I'm not going to make excuses for that.
No, I've seen it too.
I mean, we all grew up talking like. I mean, one of the biggest things was our locker room talk was like anytime and the thing is like. Before we start running down the feminist angle of this movie, you have to look at it from the male perspective a little bit more because this is about.
That's where it's told from.
It's told from that perspective. Yeah. And the male perspective, and it shines like it's a father-son story.
Oh my god.
The parenting story, like there's so many angles we were gonna go through here. Bassett, Angela Bassett. The two mom dynamic is like if you're gonna talk about
that was interesting.
If you want to talk about feminism in this movie, the dynamic between the two, like the Angela Bassett's character.
Problem in the home? Are you employed?
That's really none of your business. But since you asked, I am employed and I'm studying to receive my master's degree.
Cheryl?
Doughboy's mom, like Doughboy and Ricky's mom.
It ain't it till I say it's it, damn it. Is that it? Boy, don't get smart with me, because I'll knock your ass in the middle of next week.
There, yeah. Tyra Ferrell.
Tyra Ferrell.
Because Lawrence Fishburne wanted to really work with her and Angela Bassett.
I mean, the fact that she became this surrogate mother to Trey after the mom left.
Yeah.
I mean, it was that huge opposite there.
And you really see that. I really felt for Doughboy. Because I don't know. I think you could watch this film and you could side with his mother and blame him for. I
don't know.
I think. Okay. No. I don't. I'm not. I don't see it that way. I'm just saying. I think somebody could watch it and see it that way. Unfortunately, When in reality, I do, you know, like, clearly it was when he provoked him at the car rally that it was like, okay, you basically just put yourself in a grave, kid.
Yeah.
At least one of them was going to die after that.
Well,
I knew that.
It was
like,
Ricky
oh,
that provoked him.
I know, but I thought there, you know, it could have been a movie where there might have been a tragic mix-up in the end. Trey gets shot instead of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey man, what's wrong with you? Fuck you looking at, nigga?
Inner group culture, like everybody has those small little groups. You know, the boys in the hood. You have your group of friends when you were growing up, and we all took care of each other, and you always had beef with some other.
And you know what?
Group.
And you know what? If someone, I always lived with the thought that it was possible that a friend of mine could end up dead on the street.
Mm-hmm.
Because I grew up in a kind of roughish area, and we were not well off by. I mean, I was
working class people, man.
Yeah,
grew up in working class neighborhoods.
The fact of the matter is that I would have also if someone had killed one of my friends, I would also have I would have been Trey. My middle name is Trey too, and through the whole movie I was like, Trey is my boy. But I would be Trey. I would literally. I don't have a gun. I don't have a gun, but if I lived in America, I probably would.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like that's different. We had baseball bats.
Yeah.
I mean,
and like I told you the one time that my friend's story about being in a group full of people beating each other with baseball bats, and I mean, so that kind of stuff does happen, people in Canada, because we don't really have guns. So it's either knives, baseball bats, or like running over people with cars.
Pretty much. Like, we're not out to kill each other, but we're out to send a message.
Yeah.
We're not going to be fucked with.
break your toes. I don't know.
Don't fuck with us.
Just don't fuck with us.
We are Canadians. We do say sorry after we're done. We breaking your legs with baseball bats.
Trying to show how hard they is. Ignorant.
Oh, fool, shut up. You be doing that shit too.
And I got land, so.
Thank you, Furious.
We got land. Let's use it.
Papa Furious Styles over here, folks.
It's called gentrification.
Right here, no, I don't know if that's, but Larry Fishburne, as he credited himself in the credits, did a fantastic job.
It's what happens when the property value of a certain area is brought down. Huh? You listening?
Literally, he could rock me to sleep.
To bring the property value down. They can buy the land at a lower price. Then they move all the people out, raise the property value, and sell it at a profit.
This film is more about the masculine dynamics. It's more about toxic versus non-toxic masculinity. It's about masculinity in general. Mm-hmm. It's about black masculinity in particular. It's so many things. And then it's about... It still manages to explore that, kind of controversial, because it is a very misogynistic treatment at the time in the culture. Mm-hmm. Of women.
I don't know if it's changed or not.
And I don't, and I know that yeah. Not
I mean,
to make a definitive
that's the thing is
right.
working class people, and the those dynamics are bred in there.
There's still that's the thing. We can say we're enlightened, we're educated.
Although
we're also the discussion of privilege, right?
I've sat in my basement smoking, popping tokes with my buds and drinking a bottle of Old English each to each other. Seriously.
You had Old English? Uh-huh. I never got the chance to do that.
Oh, dude, one bottle. Like if you get the whole bottle in, you're fucked. But if you're halfway through, you're buzzing hard. Like, it's good. Malt liquor does the trick, man. Yeah. I'm not even kidding.
I've seen it, but I just never had the money to buy it, so I just smoked weed. I was like, it was weed or alcohol at the time. I was
I would, yeah, Well, as a kid, I tried not a lot of things. Just really weed and alcohol is what I'm trying to say. But I would always usually take the opportunity, if it was presented to me, hey, you want to smoke a joint? Hey, you want to take a shot? Oh yeah, sure, why not? I'm young and dumb.
I was just thinking about that. I was like, I miss the days where you just like fucking light a joint and just pass
it around. You're just hanging with your buds, just shooting the shit. Now it really feels, the older you get, the more it feels like you were just shooting the shit then, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, what the hell did we do with our time? We literally just hung out and just had fun. We were
boys in the hood.
We were boys in the hood. And we were boys in the hood.
I mean, and yeah, like that addresses like so much things that are like happened because of this movie, because of Boyz in the Hood, was such a popular movie that came out. The influence of, let's put it this way, the cultural appropriation of black culture by a white industry was they just grabbed everything after that. I mean, NWA was huge. The rap was coming, was strong into the markets.
Now, that being said, so I just recently rewatched Straight Outta Compton probably 3 weeks ago now. So watching this was like a it was so funny. It was a meta experience because it was like a movie had happened within a movie in my mind.
It's like,
and then it all happened in real life, and it was just a time and a place.
And this is Ice Cube's journey. Literally, well, Doughboy died, was murdered, but I mean, that was he basically said this was what was they doing before Boyz in the Hood? I was the boy in the hood.
Domino motherfuckers. Say about that.
I love how when John sent him the script at first, he just didn't read it. And then John was like, dude, please, you're gonna be huge if you fucking do this. Just listen to me.
And then he read it and he was like,
this
fuck,
is my part.
Okay, I have to.
Like, no one else can play this part. This is totally
and the performances, each character's performance was strong. And the fact that they were all brand new, all black cast. And
crew, mostly.
And that's what I mean. That cast. Crew. The entire production, except for the one producer that was like, I'm going to be on this movie. I don't care if I'm the only white guy, like you are.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Now, I have an interesting question for you about that, though. Watching that documentary, do you think he has kind of like a bit of a white savior-ish complex? Compared to the other guy, who seemed very... he kept pointing out how everything is so white, and I noticed that. And I was like, fuck yeah, man. But it was funny, because he was like, so the Oscars are all old anyway, and I'm 40, and I'm big.
It's
this is fucked up, basically. But the other guy was like, I don't know, did you feel that at all in that comment? I wouldn't necessarily got an overwhelming sense.
You know what? I don't remember it. I don't remember the comment.
He was just like...
He was...
I'm proud to say that I am the only producer on this film. Because you can't say that. In his 25, after 25 years of being in the field, he said he hadn't, you don't come across many films with a singular producer. At the time, it makes sense though to me, because like it's an technically, even though it's not an independent film, it was a major studio taking a huge risk. Literally.
Okay. I guess it does come from a place of privilege.
Definitely. To be like, this is on my, kind of hanging on my wall.
And that's,
you know what I mean?
That's...
John definitely should, because he was the first that young African American. That literally,
that was the moment. Share.
Yeah. Also, I need to get off my ass. I'm 23 years old. This man was 22. He knew what he wanted to do. He went to film school. He came right out of film school. He had his friends, his connections, so he was like, hey... Can you, and he worked hard. He worked on the Arsenio Hall show. He did other stuff like that. Did a lot of temping, and he just had faith in the script and in his story, and he took it out there and he made it.
That's it.
He fucking did it.
Like, Kevin Smith did.
He
Kevin Smith did before Kevin Smith. He's Kevin Smith did.
Well, exactly. Yeah, because that would be too. Wow. See that? Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, so it's just. I don't know. Like I was telling you earlier, I was so inspired. Yeah.
You have to go get it, man. But that's the thing about this world.
The movie... So, kind of getting back to Straight Outta Compton and comparing the two, Straight Outta Compton takes a lot more opportunities to show more of the police brutality. This movie does, but it does it in a nuanced way by showing us that self-hating cop.
You know, it's too bad you didn't get him. Be one less nigga out in the streets we have to worry about.
That's what I want to ask you about, as about that cop, because that is terrifying.
And that is what a performance.
You think you tough? Think you tough, huh?
Oh,
what a
for sure.
performance. That was terrifying.
I want to know how I'm going to articulate this question. It's like, yeah, how do you feel about that? What is your interpretation of like black on black?
I've seen it before.
Yeah, and it's like this man is completely brainwashed.
Oh. You're scared now, huh? I like that. That's why I took this job. I hate little motherfuckers like you. Little niggas, you ain't shit.
And how poignant at a time like this.
Yes.
That to see something like that.
Yes.
When we do see, and I have seen videos of black cops standing beside white cops. Now, that being said, I've also started to see a lot more videos. The other day I saw a video of a National Guard, a black National Guard member, and he was standing there with his riot shield, but they were saying, I'm black and I'm proud, I'm black and I'm proud. And he was whispering the words under his breath, and the person zoomed in, and they were like, he's saying them too! And I was like, like, when you stand beside the oppressor, that's something you really have to kind of evaluate in yourself, you know what I mean?
And that's the thing. I've heard about cops resigning.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard about it. I've also seen a lot of them just kneeling and lowering protesters in. I mean, I think the most craziest thing is that the cops have, out of the amount of many of crazy fucking things, is the video where they're literally boxed them in and they have nowhere to go. And I think that scene terrifies me so much, because right now they're just throwing tear gas.
They're getting away with literal war crimes. They're getting away with war crimes because, as the cop in the movie said, I could blow your fucking head off right now, and you could do. There's nothing you can do about it.
Think you're tough, huh? Blow your head off with this influence, and you couldn't do shit. How you feel now?
And then Cuba's
and that's why I took this job, and him crying.
Ugh.
And then him coming home after that. And I was saying to him earlier, that's the scene that for me encompasses my emotions.
Shit. I'm so fucking tired of this shit. Fuck this shit.
And kind of, I think, a lot of our emotions at this time.
Stupid motherfucker. Fuck you. Fucking dirty.
About what's going on, and about police brutality, and about the fact that we have been brainwashed into this system of unrelenting systemic racism.
Shit! Don't let me kill all you motherfuckers! Come on! Come on, man, motherfucker!
And I think it's just it needs to stop.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We're talking about the cops that are behind that line with the oppressor.
Yeah.
Even if it's not just even if you're people of color.
No.
Anybody who is on that side of the oppressor. The line has now been drawn.
Or neutral.
It's drawn. This is it. I don't think the world's going to take another black man dying in the streets.
No.
I don't think it.
Not at the hands of police. Not at the hands of police.
No.
Because I'm fucking sick of it. That scene. And I'm gonna find a clip of it, and I'm gonna put it up here and chop it into this.
Yeah.
Because Cuba Gooding Jr.'s performance, I was in tears. I was in tears with him. Because I'm so fucking done. I am so done. I'm sick of every day literally logging into every social media account. Not sick of seeing the things, but sick of the fact that they're happening.
I cannot take another...
You know?
I can't take the look at another person with giant holes in their losing eyes.
From rubber bullets.
From rubber bullets.
And tear gas canisters. And
This is insane. This is crazy now.
Children getting shot at.
And I understand, and I stand with them, and my thoughts and positive energy goes out to all the protesters out there, to all the people who got hurt, all the people who died, the girl that died from asthma from the tear gas. I mean, I took all of that pain and put it into my entire soul, and you know, this has got to stop. It's got to stop. Absolutely, this is it. There's a line now, and don't fucking cross it.
You know,
that's it. Don't cross it.
Yeah. This movie just. I don't.
You gotta stop the violence, man. It's just like increase the peace.
Increase the peace.
It's the tagline of this movie, and this movie is such a poignant thing. Like, I bawled my eyes out at the end of this movie.
Oh, but literally, I know, because
it was such a. It does. It just basically it's like that's it. Okay, our entire system is bred for this genocide. And it's not, and I don't want to downplay the Black Lives Matters movement, but you know, the Indigenous Life Matter,
especially
here in Canada, it's like, okay, this is an American film, and we are observers into a culture that is not
ours. Not really.
We are Canadians. Yeah. We have racism. We have our genocide of not only just the Black community, but our Indigenous community, and we're finished. We're finished with it.
We're all done. That's just it. We're all done. You know? This movie, though, also made me cry, because on the other hand, it's like this was 1991. The Rodney King incident happened in 1992.
Yep.
Literally a year out. This movie should, like, this is the kind of movie that should have made that change. What is happening right now, what happened in 1992 should have happened in 1991 when that movie came out, because it should have at least started to make people think more about that. And maybe that is why the Rodney King riots happened, because people were finally, they were like, you know what,
it was based
look
on
at that, and then look at this. I think in this
is the world ending? Like, is the world ending?
I don't think so. I think the world is ending, but to begin again.
Is civilization, that's probably the best. Not the world is not ending. Is civilization ending? Is the American civilization ending? Like, are we going to live in a dystopian? And now we're going to move to a utopian.
I would argue that Americans are already living in a dystopia.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, imagine. I can say in my lifetime, especially when I was younger, even if I was... The only reason I was ever nervous around authority was usually because I was smoking pot. Not because I was black. And that's a privilege that I lived with. People in Compton... in South Central LA, they can't even walk down the fucking street. And if there is a police officer, they're likely to be harassed, even if they're completely, you know.
As soon as Trey got pulled over, Trey and Ricky.
Oh, I was like, fuck.
They were all fucked. Yeah. Oh, fuck. And it was just like the moment thought that popped into my head. It was just like, okay.
And the instant the two cops were stationed over their doors like that, I instantly had a flashback to Tamir Rice and the video of him getting shot. And then when Cuba was crying because that fucking I hated that cop so much. I hated that black cop so much.
He played it so good. It was so deep.
It was. It
the
was such
gun, and it's like and just how he's using the N-word, and just like it was the like.
Well, and the nuance of the interaction between you see 3 different types of black masculinity on display alone in the scene where that cop comes to respond to the robbery at the beginning. You know what I mean? When he's talking to Furious and tries to get the attention of the kid. It's like you're seeing so many different things at play at the same time that it's like, that's actually really complex. And I don't even think it's necessarily, it's not that it's not intentional, but John Singleton is just writing his truth.
Yeah.
And
that, well, there's that all that dynamics. I mean, we all wear different faces and masks around different people. I mean, right now, the podcast for me is now.
What? We're being filmed?
Yeah. Everywhere.
Oh.
Government is also listening through Google.
Yeah, I know. The other night, Heather said something, and her phone immediately suggested a friend on Facebook related to what we just talked about. So that was exciting.
You have the Alexa.
Yeah,
I would be more worried about Bezos.
You're fucking right. Shit, that thing's gonna take over.
Google's plan for us is completely entertainment based.
They'd probably just shut you in and protect you from the harsh realities of the outside world.
My walls will be... It'll be like living in, what is it, Fahrenheit 451. My walls will be just a fucking computer screen.
Yeah. Or it could be even weirder, like Blade Runner, where we have a mood machine.
Oh my god. I love Philip K. Dick's writing. Yeah. I love his storytelling. He has a very awesome story. The guy's nuts. The guy was a crazy misogynist Zionist weirdo, and it was but that made his stories so poignant because
vision, damn it.
Well, the thing is,
so did H.P. Lovecraft, and he was an abhorrent racist.
Well, the thing is, they all envisioned a socialist. They critiqued the capitalist world around us, right?
It was it's because they were anti-capitalist, but they had these other problems.
But they also were anti-communist. Like he was.
What do you want?
Philip K. Dick, yeah, he thought everybody was a communist. He would go on communist parades and round up people. Wow. Like he was nuts.
Wow. Well, on a communist note, I brought a little stack of books, folks. Carol Phillips does go to Russia in the European Tribe, which is a book about him traveling through several countries. Like a lot.
That's interesting.
And kind of just he gets a perception of black people and colored people across the European Union. And it's really eye-opening, which is what the cover says, but it's also just true. I don't know.
Americans, I think, what does that say about our cultures? How connected are we? How much do you watch the BBC?
Obviously not a lot.
Not enough.
I mean, I'd say I stay fairly up to date on, out of all the countries, UK news is pretty.
But how much of it is also filtered over, right?
That's true. Just like how much ours is exactly the media they're fed from our stuff is filtered, just like the stuff we get from them is filtered. It's not exactly what the British citizens are getting right at Britain. Yeah, they're in Britain. Just like what we're getting right in Canada is,
When you're talking about this book, I mean, this gives a really eye-opening, an interesting perspective on how, these developed countries, the Europeans, they've been here for a lot longer than us.
You're speaking of communism, and in the Russia chapter, which is the last quarter of the book, he has this professor friend who's trying to circulate black texts, and because you see a lot of Russia's usually represented by white people.
It's white,
but
very Russian.
There are black people in Russia, and it is a culture and a community, and so it's kind of in this. I think at the time he was writing, it was still the Soviet Union. Maybe it had just fallen anyway. It's just really interesting, this underground movement of trying to circulate these black written texts and texts about liberation and anti-slavery and all this other stuff from the West being filtered into Russia or snuck into Russia.
Well, I have
these
not
people.
heard of a Black Lives Matter protest from Russia.
I mean,
You know.
they wouldn't let you. It's probably happening, but they wouldn't let you see that.
Yeah.
Because everything that comes out of Russia, especially, is filtered. I mean, if it weren't for Carol Phillips going there and seeing his friend and writing about it and bringing his writing out of Russia,
smuggled it out,
then, you know.
Wow.
But
that's beautiful.
I just wanted to give a female perspective too. I have to say, Grace Nichols' The Fat Black Woman's Poems is literally one of my favorite poetry books of all time, as you can tell by all the little tidbits in there. Anyway, I also have to do a seminar on it, so I just kind of fell in love with it that way. But I think it gives a really good perspective of an insight into at least this black woman's perspective. And I think also
it's a perspective.
It can, in many ways, it can be broadly applied.
Growing up, like I said, there was only a few people of color, black friends. They're all in Halifax. Most of the huge black community in Halifax. That's you know, and that's where Elle Jones is from, and she's a poet.
Yeah, that cover artwork is beautiful.
This is her first book, live from the African resistance, and she's been writing poems on, like, basically everybody who is ever protested. She writes poems about black protesters. So, and I got it signed. Signed by her.
Damn you. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Wow. Yeah, I was like, oh, cool. I get to touch it. Wow.
You
This
don't
is like
get
a
to
relic.
just get to touch it.
This
You
is
can-
a relic.
You can take it home and read it, dude.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Because I also need to borrow New York 2140 off you.
Dude, what's mine is yours. It's a library. It's not a. It's
Dude,
not a
that's
book. It's
like-
not. This is not a collection. I have a
That
whole
is-
book collection in this room. This is not a collection. This is a library.
If I had E.L. Jones write that to me, I would literally just never stop writing.
Well, she was
I would
that.
just never
She
stop
was
writing.
that Lakehead.
Like that
It was
is
one of the poets on there.
one of the workshops.
Yeah, one of those things. One of the
One
things
of
they
those
do.
things.
Those things they do. That Lakehead.
But no, I pulled out While It Falls, and that's what made me think of that, folks. And let me tell you, if you haven't heard of George Eliot Clarke, or if you haven't read While It Falls, please, please, please read it.
His
Please.
poetry definitely inspired me to become a poet.
Reading this.
Oh my god.
Between the poetry itself and the prose in between the poetry mixed in, plus the way it's structured, plus the fact that it's about a marginalized or at least segregated community in Halifax, or sorry, Nova Scotia, that I had never heard of before, and that I'd never really it just really got me in touch with what it means to be black and Canadian, and what that can mean, and how that can be represented in a literary format, and how you can really manipulate the literary format and mix poetry with a narrative and do it successfully.
And that is why I love it. And it has a mixture of all Western forms and totally new invented free verse forms of poetry in there. And he tweaks them and plays with them, and it's such an inspiring novel. If anybody has never read that book, has definitely a recommend.
Can I just want to read it. It's just a short poem, and I think maybe right now it's dark, but it might be poignant. I don't know. It's called Eulogy. His breath went emergency in his lungs. His felled heart grasped impossibly at light. A thrown bouquet, he dropped softly to earth. Torn from sweet oxygen, oh, wilted fast. We have now come to bury our beloved. We stumble through smoke, broken sentences, snatch flesh, pale lilies from his dark bier. Watch water smash its white brains on black rocks. Children, all deaths concentrate in this one. The rain now falling is each single tear.